We have a pool of 20 candidates for one type of position, and 2 are to be hired, and actually 2 were hired and both of them were Caucasian. So we want to know the probability that this has occurred. Well, there are 20 candidates. There are 20 combination 2 ways to choose basically 2 of the candidates. And we want to know the probability that both are Caucasian. Well, that means from the group of 10 Caucasians, we want to know the number of ways in which 2 of those could be selected. So the number of ways in which 2 Caucasians could be selected out of the 10 divided by the total number of ways a group of 2 can be selected. And that probability is about 0.237. So it's not very unlikely that that would happen. Next we want to ask, well, maybe on a similar note, well, what is the probability that at least one African American should be hired? Well, in this case, we're looking for at least one. So what are the possibilities in terms of the event here? Okay, well, in terms of African American individuals being hired, you could have none, you could have 1, 2, 3, or 4. Now we're interested in this block, and this is the 100%. This is the sample space of all possible outcomes. Either you have no African American hires, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Now, of course, it's impossible to have 3 or 4 because there are only 2 positions, but you can have up to 2 people hired. Well, rather than to have to find both of these, why don't we just find the probability that none are hired and then remove that from the 100%? So let's find the 1 minus the probability that 0 African Americans hired. Okay, well that equates to 1 minus, well, the probability that no African American candidates are hired comes out of the 20 combination 2 possibilities. We want to know the likelihood that no African Americans were hired. Well, that means that all 2 candidates were pulled from the pool not consisting of African Americans. So that means that if there are 4 African Americans, then they were selected from the remaining 16. Well, if you do this, this is 1 minus that probability comes out to about 0.368. So there is a pretty good chance that at least 1 African American should be hired. However, what did actually happen was this, and that wasn't very unlikely either. So in a situation like this where neither of the probability, this one isn't really too high, and this one isn't really too small, so it would seem like the decision was made sensibly, although, you know, somebody can still choose to have an investigation conducted. The probability is, again, just a base point. Of course, there's a human element of individuals needing to be interviewed in terms of how their practices go, and hopefully human resources is fair in the way in which they allow decisions to be made.